Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We're going to give you some answers right now. And if you are just feeling out of sorts, things are just not right, you feel weird, just okay, put your finger on it, you're sleeping crazy, you're craving, there's probably a reason for that astrologically, and that is the Mercury retrograde. We're in one right now. We'll explain in just a moment. And if you're watching this not at the beginning of September, but another time on a playback, there will be more retrogrades. Don't worry, there's 3 a year.
Yeah.
So better prepare you for that. And she can help do that. She is not just an astrologer, which would be amazing in itself. She is a psychological astrologer. She works with this and the planets and all of that to help you kind of chart your future. Carmen Schott is with us. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm feeling better today, but it's been a rough week. We had the what's called the blue moon that it hasn't happened since I think 2009, where there's 2 moons in 1 month. So we had one here just end of August here. Now we're into 1st of September, but it was this week and it was in Pisces, very powerful full moon. And on top of that, we have, Mercury retrograde, Venus is retrograde, Saturn is retrograde,
Wow.
Chiron, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are all in retrograde motion right this week.
How often does that happen when all of them are doing it?
Not very often. They say this has been a very special week and a time right now this fall where there's a lot of things from the past coming back for us to reassess. That's what retrogrades do of any planet, but especially when you have these they call them the inner planets, or the like Mercury, Venus, those that are closest to the sun and earth. Then you have the outer planets also retrograde, and then Jupiter goes retrograde September 4th. Add it to the mix. So what it does is it affects us based on where they're transiting through our birth chart, that transit chart. Because if they're retrograde in the 6th house, for instance, I have Pluto and Saturn transiting my house of health, and I have felt it. I felt sick. I mean, the day before the full moon, the day of the full moon, oh my gosh, I had water retention. Like I never have that, where it was like something wasn't right. I wasn't feeling good. I even laid down, took a nap. I don't ever do that. And I just felt this intense energy. Like I just didn't feel good. I knew I should go run, like I wanted to go run or something, but I was physically exhausted. So I didn't exercise, which I thought might help, but I couldn't even get on the treadmill. And I just wanted to lay around.
I gotcha. I totally, and everybody's telling me the same exact thing. And I knew it was a retrograde, but sometimes I forget. People, my daughter, talking about, wow, I'm having sleeping issues. I don't know what it is. Nothing's working. And even the tired thing, I woke up this morning and fell back to sleep and then was shocked at what time it was when I woke up. I mean, for me, it was late. I'm like, what's going on? But personalities clashing, information, things. I had yesterday, I had a friend who was texting another friend. And I'll try and explain this. I was getting her texts to the other friend. She was texting me, and it was basically a meeting at a car dealership. Can you pick me up to whatever?
Weird.
And I'm like, do you know that I'm getting your text? She goes, how is that even possible? Because I'm sending it to my friend Dennis. I'm like, I don't know.
Wow.
And then she's like, let me just make sure. And then I got another one, and then another one, and then my printer got hacked.
Oh no.
And I figured out what it was. It was an issue on the cable company. They didn't put a firewall in, activated, but why is all this happening during the retrograde? So for those who think that, this is bunk, come on. Okay, why now? That's the only logical explanation, and I've seen it happen before. I want to ask you about the blue moon. Now, you call it a blue moon, and people are walking around saying, it's not blue. What's going on? Why do they call it that? And does it appear blue for some?
Now, I saw a blue ring around it.
Wow.
I did. When I stared at it, the whole moon didn't look blue to me though. Some pictures would show it. I think depending on where you are on the earth, what location, it may look different, but I could see just a blue ring around it. But the reason they call it the blue moon is because it's like that song, Once in a Blue Moon. It's very rare. It's a very rare event to have two full moons in 1 month. It does not happen often. I think it's been like since 2009 since we've had a blue moon, which means it's unique and it's an extra full moon. In August we had two. That's why they call it a blue moon, because it's like something special.
Okay,
Out of
gotcha.
blue, like out of the blue.
Out of the blue. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What a interesting time, and I think I might have asked you this about this retrograde. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, whoa, this one's impactful. Strap in. We're not done yet. We still have a couple of weeks.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, we're at a 9 or a 10 on that
We
scale
are.
of
Yeah.
importance.
It's this week for me, it's been a 9-10 for sure. And everyone I've talked to has been 9-10. I mean, I can't even explain what happened this week. It was one thing after the other with work. And I need to take my own advice, because my biggest thing is be careful what you email, text, say during the Mercury retrograde, or especially Mercury retrograde, because people will perceive it wrong, misinterpret. And I ended up having an email battle this week. And I'm like, I'm like, oh, I knew better, but I just could not, because it was so much miscommunication. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm asking. I even said, this is a miscommunication. I even typed it. This is my question. Can you answer yes or no? Like, I had to get so basic with the communication, because it was so much like accusing me of things. I'm like, no. I just want to know, what is the answer to this one question? And eventually they finally said it. I'm like, thank you. That's all I've been asking for the past 10 emails. And it's like, I laughed. I was in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I'm like, I should have just let it go and wait. But what's happened is I always laugh, because not only is it causing miscommunication, computer technology issues, people perceiving what you say wrong, or they're not communicating clearly. And then you get upset because they're not answering your question. And especially when it's work, because you're trying to do your job. And some of these things can be serious, right? So I knew that it brings things back from the past. So there's been an issue that I have been bringing up for almost a year and a half at work. And it kind of died down, until this week. And it reared its ugly head again. And all I can say is it was emotional. People get emotional about it because no one has an answer. And I should have not fought the battle during Mercury retrograde, but I'm like, type it.
Well, because you want to clear the air and move on. Who wants to have things hanging over you?
I want
I get it.
I want organization. That's a Virgo thing. I don't like it when things are disorganized and when things are not efficient and when you're wishy-washy. I want an answer. Just yes or no. Like, and then I'll move on and I'll tell them, and because a lot of what I do is helping other people get them answers. So if I'm not getting the answer, then I can't give other people the answer, right? And so it makes me feel very irritable. And so I gotta say I lost my temper a little bit this week, because the full moon, I was that heightened emotion, and a couple people were like, man, Carmen, you're taking this too personal, you need to calm down. And I'm like, I knew I was, because of the Pisces moon, Pisces full moon. I was taking everything personal. I was getting emotional about some things that I can't control. A lot of these things, we can't control. A lot of these things are going on. We can just do the best we can. But Virgos, we care about work. And I'm I can be, and I would say obsessive, but I want answers and I want to do a good job,
Right.
And Virgos, we like order. We like structure. We like knowing what's going on and not chaos.
Yep. That's me.
It's been chaos all week, right?
It's been chaos and emotional too. Even my kids had things going on. Even a friend of mine was on the phone last night till like 11:30 talking about a situation with her sister.
Okay.
And I don't know her sister well, but I sort of got her personality.
Sure.
I can't believe the stuff that she texted my friend.
Yeah.
And it started with a text just at the beginning of the retrograde, maybe just in the pre-phase, and then followed up with one yesterday. And now they're not talking. And it's just, and I'm like, what? Like, you would not even think that. It's almost like you just want to crawl in a hole for
I
two,
just
two more
wanted not
weeks.
to stay away from people in a way. Like I haven't, I've been like just trying not to. I didn't, even when the phone rang, I didn't answer the phone this week for some people that usually call me because I just didn't have the energy. I didn't even, my brain, it's like my mind was turned so inward,
Mm.
like introverted. And I'm like, I don't even want to talk, which is not like me. Usually I'm talking and I'll talk for hours on the phone. I mean, I love to communicate. Not this week. It
Yeah.
has been like, I don't want to talk to no one. I don't want to have to answer the phone. It's just like, so everybody hang in there. It will get better. Probably not till the week after September 15th. So we're looking
Yeah.
at, they'll be in the shadow. So by the last week of September, we will be out of Mercury retrograde. Venus retrograde ends this weekend. So that's good. But one thing that happens when retrograde planets go direct, right before they start spinning the right way in the sky, things happen. So with this Venus, we always say when a planet transits and when it goes back direct, events happen. So there might be, the love and relationship stuff, something big might happen right before it goes direct this weekend. And so, and or you may feel a weight lifted off, like all of a sudden, like your friends that had the miscommunication, or if you're into it with someone, it's just going to work itself out and you guys are going to make up, because Venus, the planet relationships, has been blocked too. So
I'm hearing this, that after this retrograde, and people who are intuitive, card readers, even an astrologer before we met told me earlier this year, I believe it was, and my
yeah,
birthday's soon. After that, and not just for me, but everybody,
yeah.
it is going to be a wide open, wonderful time. Big changes are happening, but they're going to be in a very positive direction once we get past these next couple of weeks.
Yes, this is a testing time. I mean, I saw on Facebook and stuff, people are like, oh my gosh, there's 7 planets retrograde. I mean, this is a rare event. It is not often that you have all these planets that are retrograde the same time. And what that means is there's a lot of emotional pressure and a lot of physical, people start having physical ailments. People get sick, people start having, these weird things happen. And that's because the energy is so intense and it has nowhere to express itself. So it's kind of, it's inward, it's affecting all of us, and we're turning inward, right? We're withdrawing. And I've had so many people write me this week, said, bye, I just want to cry. Like, I'm just like so up, like feel this irritability, this pressure. I'm like, just let yourself cry, let it out, just release it. Then they felt better. And and I took a nap, which I never nap. Like, it is not me. I'm a night owl and I like to sleep in. I never nap. And I slept 3 hours on, I think Monday was a holiday. I slept 3 hours. I just felt like crap. And I woke up and I could have kept sleeping. Like, this is not me. This is not me. And then the full moon, of course, it always causes insomnia for a lot of people, sleep problems,
Yep.
Irritability, you feel a little moody, a little bit emotional. And then it's in Pisces, which is an intense full moon to be in, because Pisces is a water sign. So it's all about mystical imagination, idealism, escapism, feeling like a victim, feeling like people are out to hurt me, all this emotional stuff coming up. And so everybody was, very raw. I guess the word I was using is people were emotionally raw. Like one little thing they would take it so personal this week. That's how I felt with everyone. And they were just reacting to things, right?
It
I'm like,
is, at least there's a reason for all of this, and we're all in it together, and you
yes,
can't do anything about it except it's like being in a boat during a storm. Got to
yeah,
hold on a little bit
yeah,
more. We're gonna
yeah,
be out of it. Sun's
yes,
coming out soon. It's gonna be
yes.
okay. But wow. Astrologically, what else is coming? Yeah, let's be prepared. Like after, let's say September 15th.
Yeah. Well, the thing with the retrogrades is it's important for everyone to kind of know their birth chart and to also do a transit chart,
Mm,
because the thing to know what's coming for your life, we need to see where all these retrograde planets are on your birth wheel. So, for me, I knew I've been having some physical stuff. I had to go to the doctor this week. I found I have to get another surgery, and eventually, I mean, it's crazy. And it all happened, when Saturn, Pluto are in my health house. They're in my health house. And I'm like, this is not good, because Pluto is the planet of death, rebirth, change, intensity. It kind of exposes any illnesses or things that you didn't know you had, like secrets. It exposes your health stuff. And I found out I had something I didn't know this week. And Pluto is retrograde in my 6th house. It's totally like exactly what the books say. And then Saturn's there with causing all this stuff in my health house. And so it's important to know, where are these planets at in your areas of life? Are they in your home and family? Are they in your career? Are they in your health house? Are they in your relationship house? Right. So you can go on astro.com, anyone that's listening, and I recommend, doing a birth chart with a transit chart. And there's these different options, or you can, Google, and how do I do a transit chart, and it'll tell you how. It's very simple. And you can see, it's like you put the transits, and what a transit is what's going on in the sky right now is what we're talking about. All these planets in the sky are spinning backwards. They're retrograde. And then we take a picture of it and we put it on the outside of your birth wheel, your birth chart, which never changes. That's the map of your soul. And that shows what energies and lessons and things are going to affect you. And years ago, I went through a Neptune through my 6th house of health transit. And during that time, this is when I had my daughter. This was like 20 years ago. And I knew it meant that you could be misdiagnosed with illness, and there'd be some weird illnesses that no one could figure out, like health stuff. And I had that. No one knew what was causing. I had a kidney issue, and it got so serious, I had to have a kidney biopsy during this transit. And I've been on medication since then, since my daughter was born. And Neptune was messing with my health house, right? It was like a 14-year deal. I had to deal with Neptune in my health house.
The entire time it was there, or no? What?
Oh yeah. Those outer planets mess with each area of life for a long time. Some of them last there like Neptune, I think, is 14 to 16 years. Uranus is 7 to 8 years. Neptune, it's like they last a long time in there. Saturn is every 2 to 3 years. Saturn moves through each house.
Let's just shut down. I'm done. Bye.
So
that's
why it's good to, look every so often, like every couple months, and see.
Well, this whole thing, for us to do it ourselves, I've looked at transit charts done by an astrologer. I don't even know what I'm looking at. That's how do you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. What all you need to do is you need to have the will, and then when you have the will, well, when you really need someone to do a counseling session with you is what you need. Because, I had a lady, I did a chart on her like 6 months ago, and she's wanting to schedule again because she said things have changed and she's wanting to know what's going on in her transit chart. So I'm going to do another session with her. And then I look at what's going on, because sometimes things square, sometimes the planets are opposing something in your chart and it's really causing trouble. And I can kind of validate why you're going through certain things when I can see the transit chart. But for someone that doesn't know, if they look at my sun signs, houses and healing book or whatever, I talk about how to calculate a chart. And then when you do the transit chart, you can look up when you see, okay, Pluto's in it's on my 6th house on my birth chart. What does that mean? Pluto transit in the 6th. You can Google it. And, and there's books out there about how each transit planet affects each area of life. Like you can look it up, Pluto transiting each house. There's books about it, and what energies, what might happen, right? Let me give you an example. When Pluto, I know just doing charts and seeing people's lives, I've seen this happen. I've seen these energies play out. That's why I know that astrology is so true. So like before Pluto, Pluto's a planet of death, rebirth, and change. It exposes things. It shakes up things, right? Right before it went into my home and family house. It was many years ago now. Thank God it's out of there. It's in my 5th house now. It was messing with my home and family for many, many years. When it got ready to go in there, I knew that often someone passes away close to you. You usually lose a loved one. And I was worried, and I lost my grandma as soon as it went into my 4th house. She passed away. And then guess what? There's usually a move you physically move. I had to move across the world. I ended up moving overseas because my husband's job, and uprooted everything. I mean, talk about a big change with our daughter. And then during that transit, you usually have job change, because whenever a planet transits a house, it affects the opposite house as well, which the opposite house of your home and family house is your work and career. So I had to start a new job, and then I had to give up my job a couple times during that transit to follow my husband around. And so all of these things just play out. And the cool thing is, though, people come to me too to try to prevent things. Okay, so when my Uranus, the planet of unexpected change and awakening, it likes to blindside you. You know, Uranus is the planet that likes to shock you, right? And it was getting ready to go in my marriage house. You know, I had Neptune and Uranus messing with my sixth house of health for a while, and it went into, and I'm okay. It's been 8 years. It's leaving my health house, but it's going in my marriage house. I don't like this, and I knew what it meant, because a lot of people that have that transit get divorced during a Uranus through the seventh house transit, because it affects your marriage. It's separations, it's issues in the marriage are brought up to the surface to be dealt with. So if people are not dealing with their problems, they're going to be exposed, and then you're going to have to communicate and work through them to make it. So I asked an astrologer friend of mine, because I knew what it meant. I said, I'm worried, you know, and I think I've been married around maybe 7, I don't know, that 7-year mark. They always say, you know, a lot of people to visit the 7-year mark,
The seven, the 7-year
cycle.
itch. And as
Yeah.
a, not to, get in the way here, but as I understand it, we evaluate our lives every 5 years, whether we know it or not. We just take a look. It's like, what am I doing? And then if
Yeah.
you look at your relationship or ships,
Mhm.
usually it takes 2 years to act on it. And
That's true.
that's the 7.
That's right. And I've met so many people that are like, yeah, I separated, divorced at the 7-year mark. My brother, all these people I know come to me at that 7-year mark, and they're kind of, you know, the marriage is a little tested because the honeymoon period's over now. You know, you're having to deal with, you know, having kids and real life and all these things maybe you didn't have. And so I asked this astrologer, I'm like, how do I survive? How does my marriage survive this transit? He said, you have to completely die and be reborn. This relationship has to completely start from scratch. Like, you got to let the past go, pretty much. Like, any issues you've had, you got to release it. You know how hard that is for human beings to do. And
Sure.
so I thought, how am I going to do this? So I was determined not to divorce during that transit, because I knew what I saw with others and my clients. And what helps people sometimes is the universe does certain things that help. So for instance, my husband had to deploy. He was in the military, and so he deployed and was gone about, you know, every 6 months. He went twice during that transit. And what happened is, guess what? It gave me freedom. It gave me independence. You know, I was alone with my daughter, which was hard, and I had to learn to be independent, which is what Uranus tests you. It makes you be a rebel a little bit. You want to be independent and do your own thing. And so I realized I could do things on my own. You know, I don't need my husband here all the time. I'm okay. And that those separations weren't like separating because we were having issues. It was like Uranus separating us, because, you know, it was, and that's because he had of his job. And so it can play out in that way too.
Mm.
Or someone's traveling more for work, and maybe during that transit it helps you stay married because they're not there a lot, right? And so that helped me, and so I stayed married, and I'm still married, but 24 years now. But every
It was a
relationship,
refresh. It was a reboot.
yeah, reboot. And it's, you know, relationships are never easy. Marriage is always hard. I mean, it takes a lot of work. I mean,
It's work. Everything is work. I don't
yeah,
care. I'm like, I'm making plans for this weekend,
yeah,
different days of doing stuff, winding up people, and it's work. It's like where I am, you could take a ferry to an island. It's like, what time's the ferry? I'm like, oh, it's work, but it's
I know
fun, but
it
it's
is.
work. I view it that way.
Yeah.
We're almost out of time.
Oh my
I
gosh.
can't think of any better reasons to get your chart, a transit chart at the very least, done. I mean, it's all the answers to what's
Yeah.
coming up. I'd like to know ahead of time before things like
Yes.
pop up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell people, and sometimes they'll laugh. I was at a bookstore doing a book signing. Someone came up. I pulled their chart up. I was doing live. Looked at. I said, "Ooh," I said, "You're going to get a new job." She said, "No, I've been in the same job for 20 years. I'm not doing anything new. You're wrong." I said, "You contact me. You're going to get a new job." I said, you're going to change your job. Something's going to happen. This woman reached out to me on Facebook. She said, you told me something at this bookstore like 8 months ago and it happened. And she confirmed, she said, I did not ever think what you told me would happen. And it did. And so she's like, how did you know? I said, well, you had Pluto going into your career house. That's why. So, I mean, there's just
this
things
stuff is real. I spoke with
Yes.
another astrologer before we met, like more than a year and a half ago. And she said this was probably February, March. And she said, November, you're going to see more income. It's going to be coming your way.
Cool.
Right on schedule.
Nice.
Not even kidding. And it
Maybe
continued.
Jupiter. Maybe you had a Jupiter transit of your second house of money and finance or something.
You know what?
Positive.
You know what that means to me? Absolutely nothing. That's why there's you.
Jupiter's the planet of good luck and good fortune. So wherever Jupiter transits, it brings blessings and expands that area of life. So it expands, your money, your finance, or your creativity if it's in the 5th house, and all that. So it's cool.
Cool stuff. Your website. Let's have it for anybody that wants to get some answers. And you're not a fortune teller. You're a GPS for life. All you're doing is interpreting the life plan, and that's called astrology. I call it a lifeline. It's all there. You just need to interpret it. The rest of us don't really know any of that stuff about the 7th, 8th house, 12th, whatever. How do we find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Carmen Turner Schott with the schott.com. YouTube, please, follow my channel, hit notifications. I've been uploading videos on there more. And Facebook, Instagram, Carmen Turner Schott author, Carmen Turner Schott writer. And follow me, and I post a lot of events, things I'm doing, articles. And if you want to consult, you can go to my website and you can email me through there under consultations. My books, all my books are on my site. I have 9 books. And so you can, pick those up and get links directly to get my books as well. Yeah,
fantastic. Always great talking with you, Carmen. Learned so much. And happy retrograde. I'm trying to make it a positive.
Yeah, we're gonna make it. We just got a couple more weeks. Mercury and Venus will be direct by the end of the month, and those are the 2 closest to us that they really impact us more than those farther away planets that are retrograde. Yeah. So we'll make it. We can do this.
Check and double check. They're your best friends for the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Carmen. Have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. You too.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.